sail away with me to another island near the sea. Love conquers all, so what does that mean and how does it feel? I'm out at Honeymoon Island, I didn't plan this, and I can't make it up. I'm just letting the winds guide me as I flow to the sea. Good afternoon, good evening for some of you out there. How are you doing on this Monday? This magical Monday. Let's say it's a magical Monday, because one of the things that I'm finding is we can choose. We can choose exactly what it is we're going to experience just by choosing our words, our composure, our feelings. We can change our state of being in the matter of seconds. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Let me know that you can hear me without a little wind interruption. I just want to see some hearts and some love. I'm shooting it out from here, this Honeymoon Island in Florida. And I wanted to just share this beautiful view, this beautiful scenery. I took the bike out today, and there's a lot of things happening in the world. There's a lot of things we're all going through, we're feeling, we're navigating the tides, we're navigating life, we're allowing it, at least some of us. I can't say that. I speak for myself. How about that? I'm allowing it to show me what is next, to show me where to go. It's kind of that pleasure principle. It's if you want to feel good, you can feel good. If you want to be happy, you can choose to be happy. If you want to feel love, you have to start with the love that you show yourself. You want to give love, you want to receive love. You know, there's this synchronicity, and I'm just waxing poetic and just being silly here, but at the same time, I've been sitting with a lot of emotions and feelings. As you know, Ninja Tommy is going to be ninja flipping over to Kauai in a week. And I'm sure some of you have already asked, and I've seen them in comments, how some of the things that are going on with me, how I'm feeling. Am I going to miss him? Am I going with him? You have all sorts of questions. I can say stay tuned. But today I really want to share where I'm at today and how I've been feeling and how I've been processing. Because we can say, oh, I'm fine with this and I'm fine with that. But you know, I think the real important issue, and it's not an issue actually, the most important thing we can do is show up and be courageous and vulnerable with our feelings, and to acknowledge our pains and our pleasures, and to embrace them fully, right? Because this is what it is about. Bringing ourselves into wholeness is about embracing every aspect of ourselves. That's the dark, that's the light. When they come together, neither one of them exists. So we can swing on the pendulum, we can dance with the winds, we can surf the waves. But if we're unwilling to confront and allow ourselves to feel and to go through the pains, the pleasures, the experiences, then we're short-changing ourselves, because that's all part of life, is just that itself, the experience. That we can jump into perfectionist mode. Hello, I am a recovering perfectionist. And perfectionists like to control every little aspect, don't we? Right? It's all about, it has to fit in this box. It has to look like this. It has to feel like that. It has to taste like this. Make sure that every little aspect matches my expectation, because otherwise it's a fail, right? Can anybody else out there relate to that? Perfectionism and the actual reality of the failure that comes with it, the immediate dissatisfaction that many of us perfectionists have dealt with, the suffering we've caused ourselves as a result of wanting things the way we want them. I want this. If this, and that's the second thing with perfectionism, isn't it? I need to meet certain conditions or I will not be happy. If I can't have this, then that won't occur. I'm dependent. It's a dependency, right? Perfectionism has so many little mechanisms, moving parts in it, that we can totally lose sight of the moment, the experiences, the opportunities that are right there in front of our faces. So for myself, with perfectionism, little things. This is a great example. How many of you out there always wanted to learn a language? So my perfectionist self wouldn't want to say something in another language for fear of mispronouncing it. I didn't want to speak because I didn't necessarily want to be wrong. But I had to work through that over the course of my life. I lived in Naples, Italy. Hello, people. I lived in Italy. I was ready. I was ready to immerse myself, and I was willing to put myself out there. And I didn't mind making mistakes and being corrected. In fact, I would ask specifically, correggimi se parlo male o non parlo bene. Dimmi la verità, come sto parlando. Voglio parlare perfetto. That's the problem, right? Is we can hinder and keep ourselves from growing as a result of perfectionism. We can lose out on love and experiences with others and beautiful interchanges, interludes, right? If we are so dependent upon a condition being met for us to be happy. Because the ultimate is that nothing is going to be perfect. If you're lucky, it's going to come close. Even more so lucky if it exceeds your expectation. So we really want, yes, we want, that's the nature of being human. We really want to hone it in to what is it that causes us the suffering. Why are we so attached? And why isn't it possible to release that and just allow? Hi, Carolina. How are you, honey? Hi, Patty. And so, for example, with me, perfectionism hurt a lot of my relationships. It kept me from maybe just putting myself out there in many different forums, whether it be starting my own business or just offering my services, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Art is a great example, or my writing, or speaking. But and I have a push-pull with all of it, right? So I am willing to put myself out there now. I do this daily if I can help it. And I still sometimes struggle with the perfectionism in me that wants to turn around and say, I want things the way I want them because then I'll be, this will happen. But this is an assumption because it's all a story created in the mind. The perfectionist control mechanisms that go on are, well, once I have this, I'm going to be that. And this is one of the things I learned. Every time I got what I thought I wanted, I was reminded there was probably something else along the way. And as a result of not being happy with what I had after I got it, I was striving and looking for the next best thing. That in itself is an addiction. The whole addiction to having control. That's huge in itself. But I want to bring this back to love, because love conquers all. And that was the reason I wanted to do this video, is I wanted to share with all of you because I'm going through waves of emotions and changes and uncertainties and little freak me outs. I don't know if you ever experienced this. In the past, I would be in long distance relationships because they were easier. You don't have to live with the person, but it's almost like holiday celebration every time you came together, right? How many of you out there really, really excelled at long distance relationships? Those are always the best, because then you could go to exotic places together, just meet up somewhere. Maybe you know what they're doing when you're not where they live, and vice versa. I don't know your stories, but there's a whole lot of non-commitment involved in long distance relationship, okay? And there's more control over it in a way. Like, and this idea that there's a control over it. How about that? Because you don't have control over anything. Can we just put that out there? You don't have control over how anybody responds to you. You don't have control over, like what you do and how that's going to unfold. You only have control over your response, your reaction, how it is that you're going to show up to every situation and experience. So, yeah, long distance relationships, really easy. But let me tell you, the ones where you got to be with the person on a daily basis, those are the ones that polish you the most. They will rub you up against the wall and up along some of the roughest surfaces, because that is where you're going to find that you yourself have areas that still need healing. About 8 years ago, I finally made a choice. I had been working on it for 10 years ago from now, that I recognized a pattern in my own relationships, and I really started to go, wow, you know what am I doing? I am like putting myself through all this suffering. This is not who I am. People who saw me didn't recognize me. I didn't recognize me. People were telling me, just be happy. You just don't give away your joy. I was getting all this advice that my ego and my mind was saying, who are you to tell me? And I don't, you don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know what I'm going through. All up here, right? But when I finally saw the pattern and where it stemmed from and the way I had taken on my parents' stories, I made a conscious choice. I made a conscious choice to take time off. Is it too windy? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that better? I made a conscious choice to truly spend time with myself and get to know myself. Because the reality is that, yeah, thank you, Cheryl, I appreciate that. By making the conscious choice, I gave myself permission to go within and to truly honor and get to know who I am. Now, I'm going to tell you, this isn't the end all. You can all be single and think that's the way to be, because you don't have to deal with anybody else. And I was happy single, but I also I'm very extroverted as well as introverted. So I can go within and I can go out. I can be happy with people and I can be happy without them. I'm at that place in my life. But I've come to a conclusion that, I spent several years, because like I said, 8 years ago I made the choice to, let's just take time for me. I want to know who I am. What is it that makes me tick? And how can I deal with all this old trauma, all these old pains, and how can I rebirth myself? Mother my inner child, look at the patterns and really see them for what they are and stop pushing them away. And I did that for up until when I bought my house. Just before I bought my house, I started looking for a place after I sold my house up in Maryland. It was November of 2015. Okay? It was the day after Thanksgiving. I literally just said to the universe, okay, I want to enjoy, I want to have a relationship, I'm open, I put that out there. I kid you not, the day after Thanksgiving, that's when I decided this, I met somebody, a realtor who showed me a house. That was my first test. And I was very grateful for the test, because it had to remind me of what was it that I allowed into my space years ago in my past relationships that I might have been letting in again. So the universe, I call it the cosmic tickle, right? Wants to see if you're going to get the actual lesson or if you're going to keep repeating it. So when we see, oh wait, I've been here before, like, hey, this is looking familiar, this feels familiar, I don't know if I like this. When you see that, when you feel that, when you recognize it, take a step back, look at it for what it is. It feels familiar because you've been there, done that, right? But the question is, does it feel comfortable? Does it feel right? Does it align with your heart and soul? And so I dallied in this dance. I like these words, right? My mom is talking through me. I dallied a little, I danced with this person. But then they started to push those boundaries of, like, ladies, you can relate to this, where they start sending you text messages that were sex talk, right? Sex text, right? Or sexting. And honestly, I don't know about y'all, but none of that really excites me to, like really. I'm a one-on-one. I like to talk. Text-wise, not the same thing. Please don't send me pictures. That's the last thing I need, right, ladies? We want the imagination to remain what it is. I think it's even better when you get a sense of, surprise me, right? Anyway, it was cool because, what happens is there's this whole, can I manipulate my way into you and speak your lingo, your language? And it wasn't just this one person. There were a couple people along the way that kind of, poked and provoked me, as Yogi Bhajan would say. The generator, the organizer, the destroyer, or the deliverer is what God is, right? They showed up in my life to basically remind me where I've been and what I really deserve and recognize that I desire. It's real easy to have those attractions, but are they sustainable? And are they committed? So it's not about the physical attraction. I mean, that's great. That can come if you don't get it right away. And I'm going to tell you, I sometimes am a little dense when it comes to people liking me or being interested in me. I tease, I joke, I flirt. Love that with men and women. My girlfriends and I, we have so much fun. We joke, we flirt, right? Natural, we are humans. And it's nice to be appreciated when you go out in public and somebody says, oh, you look very attractive, or they're speaking to you in such a way that you're like, oh, I feel taller all of a sudden. I feel appreciated. Who doesn't appreciate being appreciated? Who doesn't like that? And in a way, we all seek validation. But let's bring it back again, because love conquers all. And that is the reality. That you can receive it on the external, but can you truly receive and allow it within you internally? And that has been one of the biggest lessons that I have been, and I'm still working on it. I don't think this ever goes away, people. It doesn't go away because we're still human and we still live in this physical body on this planet in this form, right? It takes time. It takes patience. It takes compassion. It takes allowing yourself to love every part of you and where you've been. No matter what has happened in your life, it doesn't matter. The reality is, you got to be good with you. It doesn't matter if anybody else loves you or likes you. If you don't like you or love you, nobody else is going to necessarily like or love you. So, there's this resolution that needs to happen. We have this new moon coming up tomorrow morning. And I've really been diving deep into my heart space because I'm going to go back to, again, love. A little over a year ago, I invited Tommy down. It was literally a leap of faith. I don't know. I barely felt it coming out my mouth when I said, why don't you come down here? And it was the leap of faith without expectation, having no idea. Yeah, we'd been flirting and talking, and we worked hard together on social media. Extremely hard, especially last year. It was extremely. You have no idea. And I'm not trying to even. When you're close with somebody and you start to see a person's heart and soul, you start to feel them, you feel parts of them are parts of you, and you work as one, as a union. You're committed to a common goal. That feels so good, doesn't it? And that in itself can create this even more powerful expression of love. The unity of two is even more powerful than one. And then when you start multiplying, this is the beauty of unity and community. When we come together, this is how love conquers all. when we come together as a collective, as a huge community, accepting and loving first ourselves. I did jump a little bit ahead of myself, didn't I? First ourselves, and then we're able to love those around us. That's going to amplify love in all its forms, right? But it takes, again, consciousness, mindfulness. Yeah, Stacy's been watching. She's been with us for a long time, Rockin' Rad Star. I opened myself up because I was at that point where I felt a heart connection with Tom. And I do. He's very much in my heart, very deep in my heart. And I just accepted without even needing to know any details. I don't need to know your past. I know you. I know your heart. I know your soul. Your past doesn't define you, and I am not dependent upon your experiences to love you as you are. And I've told him from the start, my love for you is more important than anything else. And that I love you so much, I will always be here for you and support you no matter what. And he knows that if he needs to go and do something, if I'm holding him back or vice versa, that I got his back, and that I do truly, without even having to prove myself, he knows I truly do love him. And the reason I can say this and the way that I'm able to express this is because it took me a long time to recognize that I myself also deserve love and to be loved. And that the true commitment I made from the start was to not have expectation that he would show up in any particular way. I had no idea what he was coming in the door with. Like, you can watch our videos, but with the person showing up at your door, they're going to come with all of their patches, their scars, their wounds, their war battle cries. We come in with who knows what. I got my stuff, he's got his stuff, you've got your stuff, we've all got stuff. And nobody's stuff, I want you to be clear about this. This is true love. Nobody's stuff is worse or better than another's. Never ever compare your traumas or your successes to another person. Just the comparison alone is the absence of love. And that's love, not loving yourself enough. Because the minute we're starting to compare how we are to another person and what they've been through or what they've done, and we start to go, well, that person has this. Or we even downplay ourselves just by uplifting another with that comparison. We're withholding love from ourselves. Judgment of another is withholding love from ourselves. And that's a huge thing to stop yourself and check yourself. If at any time you notice you're comparing yourself or judging another person, that's when you're not accepting and loving yourself where you're at and where you've been. And so when Tommy kind of came into my life, we've been learning. We've been doing this beautiful dance. I told him earlier, I love dancing with you, honey. You have a beautiful flow, right? We have fun, we laugh, we have our upsets and our downsides. But you know what? That's the beauty of when two people come together. That when you're committed, number one, to your own self-love, and the love for another unconditionally without trying to fix them. I got my stuff, let me tell you. If you come into my house, there's certain things I like to have done a certain way because it makes it easier for me. And I own that. I don't need any permission to be or not be who I am, and nor does anybody else. But see, here's what happens in relationship. There are compromises. There are, again, these movements. There are these, you know what? The person requested me to do something. I'm going to do it because I love them and I want to serve them. Wake up in the morning. How may I serve my partner better? That's love conquering all. How may I uplift and respond to my partner in such a way that they themselves really truly feel my love? Not just me talking about it or saying I love you. Because when we show up to another person, relationships or not, whether it's a friend, a family member, we have to be willing to give them permission to be themselves unconditionally, not to hold them in that space of you need to be this way to make me feel happy. Again, unhappiness is the tendency to blame another person for not making you happy, or it could be a situation, and that's conditional. Again, we have to kind of pull ourselves back, come back into that state of, whoa, what's going on in my life that I feel I need to blame someone else for not being happy. And you know, I heard something earlier today about apologies, and it's so true. The only person who needs an apology is the person who needs to apologize to themselves to begin with for feeling the need to blame someone else for something they were expecting them to make happy. And that usually means we're not loving ourselves to begin with, right? Who out there needs an apology? When you are so centered in your being of love, there's no need for apologies. Most of the times, I can't remember the last time I really truly required an apology. Because if someone hurts your feelings, it's just telling you that there was still an unhealed wound, there was still a trigger, there's something still there that you're relying upon the other person to make you feel better about yourself. And so again, it comes back to self-love, and then it will also ripple out into the love for others, right? Showing up in service, not just for yourself, but those around you. My ears are popping. So, again, love conquers all because we have to work on us first. And then when we come into community and we can serve others to uplift them in such a way that they walk away better than they were when you first encountered them. It's almost kind of funny if you think about it. How could we not uplift another person if we're just being genuinely loving from our heart space? And sometimes you feel like, oh my gosh, how can I be kind to this person? They drive me absolutely bonkers. Well, if they drive you bonkers, what is that telling you about yourself? What aspect about that person? Just bless them and thank them in your mind at least. Thank you for making me recognize there's an aspect of myself that I clearly need to work on because I'm not accepting it in me if I'm not accepting it in you, right? If we can turn things back to love at all times, at any time, we can surely shift this world in consciousness and unity and community, right? But how does that feel? I think it's really interesting because there's an old saying, kill them with kindness. Think about that. Kill them with kindness. How could you kill someone with kindness? It's so contradictory. It's just like saying, I was listening to a podcast earlier about how when was the last time you saw the world devastated by politeness, kindness, compassion, love? And this podcast was referring to the fact that we look at the world through the news and the media, and it's so easy to find things going wrong in the world. And that takes us out of our presence in the moment. It takes us out of our being, gives away our power, and actually contributes to more of what that is we focus on. That why is it we're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're waiting for something bad to happen. We're looking for it because we're used to it, because it's a condition we've gotten accustomed to, instead of looking around and going, look at that beautiful sunset. Look at something that is more familiar in the loving sense. It opens your heart more, right? And let that be your ripple effect. Let that be the domino effect, that when you see one thing, you continue to see more things. The simplicity of just looking outside or listening this morning, I was loving the sounds of the birds. The birds were singing, because it's that time of year here in Florida where it's cooler. It's so refreshing outside. And they're just singing, because I hadn't been hearing them as strongly. They're usually really noisy when I sit down to meditate, and I just love sitting there just soaking it in. Because that is their presence in their moment, and that they're not worried about where's my next meal, or where am I going to get cuddles or hugs or love or affection, because they're just being. They're already in that state of love. They're just in their presence. We can learn so much about animals too. You know, Buddy, for example, he'll lay there. You give him a little acknowledgement, his tail starts wagging. He's kind of like, his head's like looking up at you like, you see me, right? I'm here. And he's just so lovable. How could you not want to just give him that love? And animals do that because they're trying to remind you to be present. They're the best example of bringing you back to the present. And it's easy to take us out of our peace when we give away pieces to what's going on around us. But we have no control over any of that. We only have control of how we respond in what's going on. Quite often we're just basically looking at something that's keeping us distracted from looking within. Something clearly within us that we're afraid of and fear and don't want to acknowledge or love and embrace. Okay, we're getting a little rain. Here's where I'm just going to get deep. Oh, that rain is coming. It's okay. It's good. I don't mind a little rain. But this weekend, here's where I've been. I've been going through melancholy. I've been dealing with fear, excitement, because I'm super excited for Tommy. I'm excited that Tom's going to be out on that island. I know he's going to have a blast. I don't have any concerns or worries for him. I'm just going to hold the space, hold the fort. He knows if he needs anything, he knows how to contact me. But I go through, and I've been going through this wave, and I had to express to him the other day that, honey, I'm going through my own stuff right now. I'm going to hide under this palm tree because it's really going to come down. I did not plan this well. This is so funny. Let's see if we can get a little bit more of me. Okay. But honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. All I can tell you, don't go out in the rain on the bike. I pulled a Tommy. I'm out in the rain on the bike. I'm going to miss him. I'm truly going to miss his butt. On the other hand, I'll be straight up. There's a part of me that's going to be a little bit relieved because I'm going to get a little bit of relief because I love him so much. I try so hard to support him in ways. I don't even know if he knows everything I do. Sometimes I feel a little bit like maybe I'm giving too much. But it's because I do that out of my heart. And that's one of the things, if I could tell any of you out there, if you've ever been in a relationship, don't ever do anything you don't want to do. Because if you're unwilling and you're resentful, that in itself, first off, is bad karma. Number two, the person's going to feel it. If you truly love somebody, there's no question about why you do it, and you certainly never throw it up at the person. True love means you do it from your heart, without explanation, without expectation, and without throwing it in their face. That's also a healthy relationship. When we can step into our maturity as an adult with another person, and that when they ask us, they make a request of us, we don't reject them with, I don't want to do it. But we do it anyway. We do it because we want to. We want to make them happy. Ladies, and I know you can relate to this, I know there's a lot of women out there, and this is one of probably the biggest causes of resentment in relationship with women, because I know from my previous relationships, when we don't feel appreciated and we ask for something, which most of us have trouble asking, resentment builds, right? How many of you have been in relationships like that, where you felt resentment because the other person didn't recognize you, nor did they want to do for you what you requested, although they said they wanted to do something for you, right? And so, oh, you need anything, let me know. And then the minute you ask them, they're like, no, I don't want to do that. How does that feel? Feels pretty crappy, doesn't it? It's probably one of the biggest causes of resentment in a relationship I could ever share with any of you. And I have that conversation regularly with girlfriends. And this is a time right now where women, we know most of the times, now I'm not saying we don't have expectation, because in my past, when I used to do things, that was the biggest cause of my suffering, was because I had an expectation that since I was doing something, it should have been reciprocated or acknowledged in some way, at least a thank you, you know, those little things in life, right? Anybody else feel me on this? But I've learned through my research, my training, my reading, my own soul searching, that when I do something, I need to do it from my heart. I have to do it with love. And I do 99% of the stuff I do it because I care. I do it because it's love coming from my heart. I don't do it with expectation. I want to do it because I want to do it, not because it's expected of me. And this is, again, going back to ladies, how many of you out there, and I know I used to do this, you expect something in return, and then you're more pissed off. You're more angry, you're more resentful, you're like ready to rip the person's head off, like they don't get it. And you know, this is why it's important women commune, because then you can have these conversations, and to have the right women to bounce back off of, like, is this healthy? Am I the only one going through this? And right now, with this whole feminine uprising of, that's enough. I've been given, and I'm not being honored for my femininity, my contributions, because if you saw my post the other day, men versus women, it's not a competition. It really is about recognizing that men have strengths and women have strengths. And there are things that we do as women that you'll never see. And men, probably the same thing, because I'm not a man, so I can't speak for a man. But never compare yourself to the work of a man, and a man should never compare a woman to the work of a man. Hello. First off, we're biologically different. I love what Sabina said the other day. She said, heck, we're magical creatures. We give birth. We grow life inside of us, right? How much more insulting could it be that we should do more and try to live up to the expectation that we could be like a man just because? And so again, I'm going to bring it back to love. So many of us are really returning to that place where we have to love ourselves first in order to truly give from a place of love. You can't nurture what isn't already nurtured inside. You can't nourish the outside. Like they say, the flower, you have to have fertile ground. You have to have soil that's really rich, right? To grow a seed into this beautiful flower. And ladies, we chose to incarnate as women. And it is our natural nature. You don't have to have a baby to take care of others. But we do so much because we wanted to come here and take on this extremely heavy, sometimes burdensome role of being a woman. And men also need to it's so important to know that we love you, we serve you, and that we allow and honor you to serve and show up to us. And that, all these different old paradigms and stereotypes of what a man should or shouldn't do, I do believe men are there for protection and also survival and all that, and to support and help us. But we don't always need saving. Sometimes we're having to save you too. And we are here to honor you and listen when you need to hear someone, or somebody needs to also witness your living. That women, we also have to take on the responsibility that many of the men out there are unhealed because of our enabling their behaviors that was this cycle. We're trying to heal legacies here. We're trying to show up. Number one, we're all trying to find our way back to what is it about being a woman? What is it about being a man? Or if you're transgender, we've got even more than just men and women. And that's another conversation. But just balancing these energies, because even if you're not looking at the biological aspect of one another, you have to consider we embody both masculine and feminine in both. No matter your gender, doesn't really matter that. It matters that you recognize that you as an individual have to be good and loving within yourself first. You're going to find that if you're open and willing to do the work. And that really isn't necessarily easy, but it's necessary. And it takes time, and it takes patience, compassion, but it's so rewarding. I'm just going to say that right now. Yes, and expectations will get us every single time, right? You know, that's the biggest addiction, is the attachment to wanting things, to controlling things, right? Hey, I said I'm a perfectionist recovering still over here. You know, this is life, as we want what we want when we want it. But don't we all want love? And again, love conquers all. And if we can keep reminding ourselves on a moment-to-moment basis that our end game is going to be love and unity and support, and just, we want to be accepted by one another. So why do we try to fix one another? Why do we think this person has to be that way in order for us to love them? That's conditional love. That doesn't make sense. If someone makes us upset, is that really the person, or is it really ourselves? Nobody ever makes us upset, though. That's the funny part. When we get angry at somebody, or we turn things in such a way, we make something out of nothing, it's really all up in here. The craziness in our head is what creates our suffering. And if we can hone ourselves back in, reel it back into that space, hey baby, get in that hot space, love will conquer all. And it literally has been, for me, oh, thank you, Heather. I love you too. It has really come to me, and this is why it's so important for me to serve in community the way I do at the yoga studio, and to give back. Because I know the work I do for myself, on myself, is supporting a bigger picture. Exactly. It really is about going inside is helping so many on the outside. And that even if it looks like I don't do anything at any point in my day, I'm doing a whole heck of a lot. And most of it's up in here. Because I'm working through. I don't know, do you all do this? Like, I am processing, again, like I shared, the emotions that I'm going through, the fact that I'm excited for Tom to be going, but I'll tell you right now, I'm also angry in a little bit. But that's a part of me. Because I'm going to miss him, and he makes me mad sometimes, but it makes me mad that he's leaving, and then I'm like happy that he's leaving, and then I'm going through these emotions. Has anybody else dealt with this, where you're like, ugh? It's like my mom passing too, it was it's still one of the hardest things to even sit with, is I literally, you gotta scream. If something really pisses you off, let yourself express it. Not at someone, just get it out of your system, however you can do it. I have my moments when I just want to be quiet and silent and reflective within. And then I have my moments I just want to be silly and playful, right? Because I love being me. I am very happy with me. There's nothing wrong with me. I accept me. I love me. All the aspects, even the stuff that's embarrassing to admit sometimes, I'm willing to totally embrace that aspect of myself. And I feel whole in that. And there are times when I don't feel quite so whole. I feel a little bit broken, a little bit, missing out on something or other. We, again, got to just navigate and allow ourselves these experiences. So I'm at Honeymoon Island. I didn't plan the honeymoon and the love part. I'm just being, But I rode the bike out here and I've just been reflective. And this weekend I was a little bit melancholy, like I said. I was just thinking, wow, Tom's going to be gone in a week. And it's just me and Buddy and my dad. And yeah, I'm going to miss him. But I also am very and extremely grateful that he accepted and he came down here last year, because so much growth has occurred in myself and him, if you hadn't noticed, for those of you who have been watching us for a while, that I'm so super excited for him going to Kauai, because number one, this is what he's wanted to do, and number two, because I know it's a chance of a lifetime that he's been wanting. And that experience in itself is going to be the most beautiful, gorgeous, juicy experience ever. And if you aren't already following him, make sure you have your notifications set to see first, as well as, you know what, you never know if he's going to do a takeover. We started out doing Facebook takeovers on each other's pages. Keep it in mind. We got Tom and Lana, we got Lana and Lana. If you want to see whatever's going on with him or me, plus RADiculously RawThentic, if you're not already subscribed to our page, make sure you like it and see first on the page, RADiculously RawThentic. Also the group. Make sure you ninja flip on over into the group and introduce yourself. And if you're seeing this video and this is the first time you've heard about it, I want you to ninja flip over there, and I'm going to challenge you to 30 days of posting whatever it is you love and you're grateful for in your life. Because that's where we can shift our lives into magic, right? Magic begins when you shift from fear to love. And the true magic is in seeing love in every little thing. I mean, like everything, even the prickly things that poke you and provoke you, right? That's what it's about. Love is in everything. There's no negative and positive. It just all is love. And who's to say it's not, again, a cosmic joke on us that says, how serious are you going to take this? Or are you going to really find your way back to the true source of all that is? And it is really, truly easier than we make it. We just make it so much so difficult. But why? Why do we need to make it so difficult? Explain to me. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that part out. Oh, thank you, love. I love that. Thank you for the hearts and the love. You all are amazing. And I am so grateful for anyone who has supported us throughout this past year. Thank you for donations from my mom, from my family, that you have no idea how much of a weight that lifted off of us. And the donations for Tommy too, because y'all, we have the meal plan. So if you have ever donated, you have received the meal plan. If you haven't, make sure you send us an email to support@raw-thentic.com and let us know. But ultimately, we've been showing up to serve. And so we don't ask for anything in return. A gratuitous donation is seriously generous, and we appreciate that, because we're grateful that you show up. You support us just as much as we support you. We read your stories in the group and love seeing how you're engaging and you're also supporting and serving one another. We created this community for the same reasons that we ourselves would have liked to have had that. I myself have a physical community I can turn to, and coming from an IT background, my thing was, hey, harness the power of social media. Let us Make it go viral. Let it go far and wide. If you have friends and family that could seriously benefit from a group like ours, invite them to the group. What do you got to lose? You may be helping serve them. You just never know, right? And so there's never going to be a day when I don't feel something, because that's the nature of human, right? I feel every day, and I'm just as much human as everyone else, and I do go through emotions, but let's talk about it. Don't suppress it. If you feel pain, if you feel suffering, like I said, I'm going through the waves. I don't want Tom to leave, but I also really want to see him spread his wings, because I know he's going to flourish. He's going to thrive. And yes, he'll probably be under a coconut tree, pissing glitter and smelling like peaches, levitating and meditating. I also recommended he's going to wear his helmet too, because you never know if a coconut could land on your head. And I don't want him to hurt his soft spots. So I've always got his best interested heart in my heart, truly, and in my mind. We can heal ourselves through relationship too. The true key is, are you committed? Are you committed to showing up? The most important relationship you're ever going to have is with yourself. So if you're willing to show up for you, and you get through a lot of the crap, the stories that you've told yourself, hey Robin, I know, like for myself, in order to open myself up to a relationship with another person, I had to work on the relationship I had with myself first. Not an easy task, but like I said earlier, it is so worth it. And, you know, when you are in a good space, you can be in a better space with another person and others. And the more you're willing to open your heart and expand that love, listen, every day to me is a magical day, even if I have a little hiccup along the way. Every day is a magical day, even if I have a hiccup along the way. I've just been having so much fun with words today. I'm telling you, my mom is strongly with me. She was a word master. Yeah, life is good, and I want you to all be happy. And I truly, if you have any suggestions, anything you would like to see us do, I want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the group. Send us emails to support@RawThentic.com. Whatever it is, we're here for you. And if you're in the Clearwater area, I'm doing my Mindfulness in the Moment workshop on Saturday at a yoga village in Clearwater on Daniel Street, behind the 7-Eleven in McMullen and 580. 1:30 to 3:30 on a Saturday. I'm super excited. It's coming up. 13's a good lucky number, right? 13th of October. And I'm going to have a little sweet treat for those who show up, because I truly do believe in the power of being present. Because we ourselves, when we're present in the moment, you'll find you're the gift too. How crazy is that? You can be the gift for yourself and others. But it takes being fully present and mindful of it in awareness. So I love you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. I think I can do a love spin boom. I'm sitting on the bicycle seat right now, but I'm going to get off the bicycle seat and I'm going to put the microphone down, and hopefully that wind doesn't catch it. I'm going to do a love spin boom, because boom, that's where we're at. Let's do this. I can twist it, I can turn it. Look at all those pretty palms. Ooh, the lighting's better over here. Maybe I should have put it like that earlier. All right, y'all, this is my love spin bunny hop. Tom and I have a little joke about this. Boom! What? I love you so much. Keep it raw, stay rad.